perspectives. I would like to distinguish between internal openness, what I would call inclusiveness. I'd like to emphasize our dialogic openness, that when we disagree, we are willing to have a dialogue on it and discuss, and we often would disagree, and that's the nature of the human mind. And I would also like to emphasize our interactive openness, by which we don't place ourselves in a corner, even with a rich civilization trying to cultivate on its own, but we see ourselves as a part of the world with which we ought to have good reason to interrelate and interact. Now, I'll concentrate primarily on the last in the 15 minutes that I've been given to speak, but I will make brief mention of the first two also. As far as the internal openness or inclusiveness is concerned, I think it's a point which has already been mentioned by previous speakers, including the former Premier from Canada, as well as the former Prime Minister from Fiji, that we have to think of celebrating being Indian not as being one part of it, which is in some ways exclusive from the rest. So we don't celebrate being Hindus or Muslims or Christians or Sikhs or Jains or Parsis our tradition is one of seeing ourselves as Indians, and that of course does not mean that we don't have different religious views, we don't have different literary tastes, we have many languages, we have...
In 1520, he went to the world, and when he came to Yemen, a port of Aden, he has written in his book, and I quote, कि वहाँ एडन के अंदर फिशरमैन और थोड़े हिंदू बनियाज रहते हैं, उसका मतलब ट्रेडर फ्रॉम गुजराती. This is the oldest record of the Indian diaspora in 1520. Since then, the contemporary business with Europe is done only to the Middle East. We are 4 million people there. On our money economy, the country has survived. Out of 4 million, 70% are semi-skilled workers, skilled workers, laborers, bearing little expense. Their total money they are sending to this country. If you take very roughly 400 riyal or 400 dirham per month per person, we are sending 14 billion rupees to India since 1979. But unfortunately, we always get injustice. आप लोग ने साहब गोल्डन प्लेट में पीआईओ काट दिया. उसने क्यों लिया हो तो आज तक मैं नहीं समझता हूं कि क्यों नहीं लिया. तो आपने उनको ड्यूअल नेशनलिटी दी. 10 साल से मैं फाइट कर रहा हूं.
Leadership is performance. Leadership is consistent behavior. Leadership is trustworthiness. Friends, we know leadership means there is no substitute for excellence. There is no tolerance of mediocrity. And for heaven's sake, there is no compromise with integrity.
USA. telephonic structure of India during his great period. Please call Sri Sam Petroda, Chairman, WorldTel USA.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. In the 4 minutes I'm given, I'm going to make 5 very simple points. Point number 1, today technology is the key to human developments world over, and it deserves better priorities in solving India's problems at the grassroots level.
Friends, the event that you've been waiting for, may I say that the person I'm about to introduce needs no introduction whatsoever. You saw by the very nature of the media that surrounded him when he walked in this room. May I now introduce to you the Nobel laureate, Sir V.S. Naipaul.
Well, I'm slightly at a loss, you know, because in the short time I've been here, I've heard so many of the same things again and again, and what was worse from my point of view, they've anticipated many of the things I was going to say, and I've had to recast very quickly my thoughts about this matter. I know that this occasion has the element of the trade fair. I think very much one is aware of that as one entered this building today. And the idea of money and commercial success of the recent Indian immigrants to the United States and Europe may be the driving force of this gathering. And so it should be, because without economic success, there can be nothing. Without economic success, there's a kind of cultural degradation and failure very often. Dr. Babulal was talking about the difficult conditions of people of Indian origin who were transported from about 1880 in great numbers, places like Trinidad and South Africa. But it is also important for us to remember that that degradation lay within the country. The country didn't give these people any kind of protection. And